Hi there, this is Paul Beckman, Paul Rainbow Song. I'm in my own space now. I'm not in the space that I'm painting, but I want to mention something that I just did up there while I'm down here taking my break. I went and I sanded a place that had some graffiti on it that I showed on the camera yesterday. That graffiti was pretty solidly on there on the wall, and you'll see when we're there. I'll just do a tiny bit more sanding and you'll see me in action. But basically it's now disappeared and gone. And then I went along the walls and showed some other marks and things like that that would need to be removed. This is what you would need to do if you're going to paint a bachelor suite. So first of all, you tape the edge of the floor and the wall, and you tape the edge of the ceiling and the wall. And then when you've done that, you look for marks that need to be less apparent, so that when you use your paint, especially if it's white paint, then you won't see any marks behind it, and you might just be able to get away with one coat. So anyway, that's what we're doing next. So when we go up there, we'll be having a display of what was gone over yesterday. The only thing is, in many areas there won't be those marks anymore, that graffiti and so on. And once we have gotten all that sanding and cleaning off marks done, then we're actually going to start, I believe, we'll be ready to prepare the paint in the different ways that we want to use it. And I think the number one job we're going to do first, before we do the rollers and get the majority of it done that way, is we're going to do the nitty gritty tight things. For instance, in places where the roller can't go, we will do what is called cutting. We'll take the paintbrush and we'll cut into places that seem to require to be done only by a brush. A roller couldn't do it. So we'll look for those places, and we'll also cut the floor. In other words, we'll take the paintbrush and we'll paint the wall, and by painting the wall, we will not touch any of the floor. We're going to paint the wall, not touch any of the floor because of the tape that we put on there. So that should work fine. When I said cutting the floor, well, I actually meant cutting the wall, but at the same time we're actually cutting the floor from the wall because we're not going to paint the floor. And once we cut the floor, then with the brush we'll also cut the ceiling. Now we're not actually going to paint the ceiling, we're actually focusing on the wall, just like with the floor. I said we're going to cut the floor. By saying we're going to cut the ceiling really suggests that we're going to paint the wall, but we're going to cut the ceiling out. The ceiling is not going to be there, and that's because of the tape that we first laid down. Even though the taping of everything could take an hour or two or so, the cutting is also likely to do the same thing. Yet once everything is cut and all that's left is only the places where a roller could go, or where a roller can go, that's when we'll actually start the majority of the painting and use up much more paint than we will probably by cutting. So that's the modus operandi. When we get back, we'll focus on the sanding and the removal of marks, and then we'll focus on paint preparation. Okay, so I'll see you up there. Bye bye.